Hi guys, today I'm gonna talk briefly about my sewing equipment. I only hand sew, so I don't have a machine, and hence my toolset is very simple. First of all, a decent pair of scissors. They might cost you between 10 and 20 or even more euros, but I think it's worth the investment because, you know, you need to cut a lot of fabric, and this, by the way, is not especially made for sewing. It's more like a general purpose kitchen scissors, but they work great, so I can definitely recommend those. And moving on to the next very important part, this is a set of assorted threads, and I paid, I think, somewhere between 10 and 12 euros for this really big set, and I'm very happy with it. It gives you, let me just open it so you can see the colors in a better way. It gives you a lot of assorted colors. And actually the tiny ones up here, you can see, they're, I think, meant for sewing machines, but since I don't have any, I just use them, you know, like regular threads. So moving on, I got this little box from my grandmother, and I think she got it from some kind of hobby store. They're usually not very expensive, and they perfectly do the job of keeping all your accessories in there. So let's start from the inside. There's quite a bit of room here, and here we have even more threads because you can never have enough. Then here's a bunch of assorted needles. I definitely recommend, you know, not going for the cheapest needles, because when I started out I had really cheap needles and they sometimes wouldn't have a proper hole to get the thread through, so that was really painful. And then thankfully I got another set, which is really nice quality, solid, they're sharp, which is really important because otherwise if they're blunt you might not be able to get them through every fabric you're using with. Also, if you work with leather, get special needles for that, because otherwise you gonna cry. I tried with a regular needle on leather straps. I think I have one actually somewhere here, yeah, something like that. And I had actually thicker leather straps that I wanted to process, but it was a pain, and eventually I just used hot glue to do what I needed to. I also like to buy those things whenever I'm in a hobby store or a fabric store. It's, I don't know if it's just simple lace. I like to put them on the edges of the dress, or even as sleeves or shoulder straps. Then what else? Let's move this a bit and let's move on to the inside. Of course, very important, needles, pins. I usually use them to pin pieces together. They have this tiny head here, and they're kind of short. Actually, it depends, like sometimes I need longer ones, which I don't have right now, so maybe if you can get a mix of long and short, that would be best. And let me just show this. More threads. This is actually the ones I started out with, so it was not a big collection, and as you can see, I used quite a bit of it already. Then also really essential is the flexible measuring thingy. I think it's like 1 meter or 2 meters? Wait. 1.50 meters. So it's great for measuring your doll and for, you know, applying those measurements to patterns that you want to make. So absolutely essential. Then another band, I think it was wrapped around some gift I received. So I usually keep those if they're nice quality, and you know, you can just reuse them, sew them onto one of the dresses or make little wristbands, totally up to you. I collect everything that's tiny. Like, those are tiny, I'm not sure what the material is, but it's pretty hard. It's not plastic, I think. Tiny wings, and they're just hot glued onto this thing. So those things also exist with anything on it, like sheeps, bugs, I don't know what. So you can get a lot of small stuff, and you could just, you know, warm it up, remove the thing, and, you know, sew it onto a dress as tiny wings, or actually glue, because you can't get through this stuff with a needle. And what else? Safety pins. Lots and lots of safety pins. They're actually pretty big. I prefer smaller ones. I don't use them too often, so they might actually not be essential in the beginning, but later on when you're trying to, you know, fit on the dress and you're trying to decide where to place the buttons, those really come in handy. Another utensil that is technically useful to have, but that I don't use that often, except when working with leather, is this finger protection thing. So that you don't stab your finger with a needle when you're trying to get through, you know, thicker fabric. And another thing I really like to collect is buttons. I think they're not the smallest size available, but they're fairly small. And the way those buttons work is, it's a two-part system. Let me just remove one. God, they're so tiny. So you have this one part that you sew on one side, and then this part, which you sew on the other side, and then, you know, to close it you just click, and it's closed. So those are actually perfect. I do not have so many real buttons. I think I have like one or two, I don't know. Let me see. Yep, I have one. Oh yeah, and those things come in different colors. Black, silver, probably also some golden color. This is the one and only real actual button I have. This is actually those buttons I right now only use them for decorative purposes. And I have another video where I made a green dress and actually used this button to cover up stitches. And another thing, I don't know if you can see that, are those. They work. And another style of button is this one. It's like the metal or whatever that other material was. It's actually the same like those that I just showed you, but it's plastic and they're like quite a bit bigger. I don't really see why you would go with plastic. I do not have a particular reason for having those. I think they were just in the set. So usually I go with those ones, whatever material they are. I think aluminium or whatever. And I think that's it. So, oh yeah, one more thing. Pen and paper. So try to use, you know, if you make pattern, try to use thick paper and try to use a pen. If you draw around your doll and you outline it, try to use a pen that doesn't stain or that you can remove easily, like watercolor pencils. In this case I used a regular pencil, so I would not recommend regular pencils. And that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know in a comment, and I think this was helpful. Thank you very much, and bye bye.